Hello everyone, very good evening to all of you. Today we are going to talk on O Neill's drama, The Hearing. And before we start the analysis of the drama, uh, I welcome all of you to Key to Success Academy Raipur Chhattisgarh. We are running CGPSC AP English batch since March, and I welcome all of you to join our academy to make your dream come true. So, first of all, today I will give you a brief an overview about this particular drum. So, what are the important keys of Eugene O'Neill's play, The Hairy Ape? So this play is a classic example of expressionism. And what is expressionism? Put it simply, expressionism is a movement that foregrounds inner psychological realities over external realism. Okay, so expression is one of the integral factors in 20th century American drama. This particular drama explores the theme of alienation in the context of industrial modernity and mechanized life. And this drama is very unique in which sense? Because it has very few number of characters like Yang, alias Robert Smith, Bob Smith, Long, Daddy, Mildred Douglas, second engineer, and some others. Now, if the chief protagonist of the drama is Yang, Robert Smith, who emerges as a symbolic figure representing the crisis of identity in a capitalist industrial society. Okay, what kind of language is used in this particular drama? The language, the spelling, the pronunciation are very different from standard American English. And this kind of linguistic diversity has deliberately been done by the author, by the dramatist O'Neill, just to show unique human expression. This drama dramatizes the tension, the tussle between physical and intellectual consciousness in shaping the identity. Now, the structure of the play, I am giving you the key points only in this particular slide. The structure of the play is episodic. It does not have any act, only scenes at a random basis, one after another. This drama has only 8 scenes, and these 8 scenes only in this particular drama reflect fragmentation of the system, fragmentation which is central to modernist literature, which is central to 20th century American lifestyle itself, isn't it? So this drama critiques capitalist systems that reduce human beings to mere just instruments. In the second scene, there is an episode of the encounter between Yank and Mildred Douglas. Mildred Douglas was from the first class cabin of the ship. The whole drama sets in a particular ship, and there is a upper class deck and the lower deck. In the upper class cabin, there were the passengers who belong to the privileged sections of the society, the bourgeois upper echelons of the society. And in the lower deck, the stockpole, as is mentioned in this particular drama, the stockpole represents the working class. The stockpole represents the workers. Okay. There is also a reference called IWW, right? IWW, Industrial Workers of the World. but that has a different reference in other scenes. But here, the stop hole represents the workers, the firemen in the stop hole in the lower deck. Okay, so definitely we see a class division between the upper deck and the lower deck, a class consciousness between these two sections, right? So this drama anticipates existential concerns as well. You know, question of meaning is raised, question of alienation is raised. So these are the central themes, which are the key characteristics of 20th century literature and society at large. Okay. This dramatic journey of the chief protagonist, Yang, goes through a movement from belonging to complete alienation, complete isolation in his life. Okay. Now, what we basically do in our classes, this for this particular drama, there are eight scenes. So each scene are discussed. Each scene, the critical summary and critical analysis of each scene, as you see here, that in scene one, which is set in the stop hole in the lower deck, so how the Stockholm city is depicted, it is depicted like a hell. It is depicted like an internal industrial space that resembles a mechanized version of hell, and the workers that they are working in the lower end are extensions of the machines. They are treated completely like a machine, or sometimes like an animal, because the title suggests an animalistic imagery. The hairy ape. Well, who is the hairy ape here? That is the question. Right. So symbols and image, these are different rhetorical and literary devices that are used to express human thought. That's why I say that this play is a classic example of expressionist literature, expressionist drama, particularly. Okay. So in this particular Stockholm scene, we see how, the intense heat, the coal dust, the fire symbolize the exploitative nature of the industrial society, right? And here, there is a very important topic, emerging topic, that is masculinity. Now, how masculinity has been uh, mm, represented in this particular drama? Well, masculinity is constructed through physical endurance rather than intellectual awareness. Okay, so and that we see through the character of Yang. Yang always tries to assert his masculinity through his physical prowess, through his physical power, but he is completely unaware of the politics that is prevalent at that particular time. He just, in the concluding scenes, he entered the WW local office number 57, as referred in the drama. Initially, he was welcomed and appreciated. But later on, when the officials came to know that he knows nothing about politics, he talks like a pugnacious person. He always wants to fight against the immediate dominance. He has no sense of breaking the system down, which is the most important factor. That also his fellow worker long said that Mildred Douglas is not one. Mildred Douglas is just a representative of the bourgeois class hierarchy, or the superior power position of the bourgeois class. So we have to break down the system. But unfortunately, Yank is not aware. of this particular politics of the mind and rule. Okay, so these are the major factors that are prevalent in this particular drama and the critical perspectives that you see. This scene is the kind of anti-pastoral, space that we see, very much opposite of industrial setting. Because the industrial setting functions as an anti-pastoral space, not at all pastoral. There is a character called Paddy who was, recapitulating, recollecting of the pre-industrial past. Okay, but coming back to reality, he finds no such pastoral elements in the industrial society. Because in this society, human beings are reduced into instruments. Human beings are reduced into mere animals. Like, when Mildred entered the lower deck to move to explore the pure poverty, and immediately she called out that Yang, he is a filthy beast, or some other animalistic references are also there, like gorilla, like or hairy ape. So these are the pejorative remarks. These are the derogatory remarks that are addressed to those firemen, especially to Yang. So that reinforces the ideology that how human beings have been reduced to mere animals, to mere instruments, just a tool in the hands of the industrialists. Now, here I will pick up one point which is important. We know Charles Darwin explored and proved as well in his book on Origin of Species, 1859, that human beings are not created by the consumption of the forbidden fruit by Adam and Eve. Rather, it comes through evolution. It comes through natural selection. But in this particular drama, we do not see young to be progressive, evolutionary. Here we see Yang is very much regressive. Yang is retreating. Yang is going back to the primitive roots, to the roots of the Neanderthal state, which is the ape life state from where we have come through evolution. So the approach, the narrative approach is regressive. That is also very much important in this particular drama. So we discuss each and every aspect. We leave no stone unturned. So these are the ideas that we consider very important. That is only in the scene one, and there are other seven scenes as well. So I request all of you to come to our Key to Success Academy Raipur Chhattisgarh and join for the course CGPSC Assistant Professor English. Now you can see in the similarly in the scene two, which set in the upper class, set in the first class cabin where Mildred Douglas and her aunt are there enjoying the weather. And Mildred Douglas was pursuing his higher education on sociology. She is research oriented and she pretends to explore overview of the world. She wants to look, she wants to visit the lower deck, she wants to help people. Okay, all these things. But this is a pretentious display of his, of his good-hearted nature, and that's not the case. The moment she looks at Yankee Nagar, immediately she called out, "He is a filthy beast," and he, and she, hands down. So these are the aspects that we see the encounter. The whole encounter scene has a long analysis. Okay, and then in the fifth scene, we see the in the Fifth Avenue. Fifth Avenue, the city is symbol of wealth, money, industrialization, modernization, uh, which also uh, considers an important aspect of social invisibility so far as the character of Yang is concerned. That Yang tries hard to raise his voice to fight against these crowd who are coming from their office in the Fifth Avenue, but nobody cares for him. Nobody listens to him. Okay, so this particular scene portrays a kind of emotional detachment of modern society. But ultimately, in this particular scene, you know, uh, uh, Yang meets a gentleman and he knocks him down, and immediately police came and Yang has been arrested in jail. And then in the sixth scene, in jail, he comes to know about IWW, Industrial Workers of the World, and all of that. And he wants to fight against the dollars, all this. So there we see important aspects of the body and mind. Okay, the physical body and the intellectual mind. So we find a striking gap between action and contemplation. Well, what Yang is doing, not through the call of his mind, not through the call of his contemplation, but only through his physical reaction, only through his physical and physical action. So there we see a very striking gap between action and contemplation. Right. Then coming to the seventh scene where he, entered IWW office number 57, and there he even failed to establish his individual identity. He has been neglected and denigrated in every quarters of his life. Okay. And Yank's identity comes into a crisis, and therefore his existence also has been questioned. Now, coming to the last scene, that is in the zoo scene, which represents the ultimate form of confinement and classification. Okay, so he comes back with his primitive roots when he meets physically in the zoo with a gorilla. And the gorilla in this particular scene serves as a symbolic mirror of Yang's identity. Yang calls the gorilla, "You are like my brother. We are brothers. We are of the same species." So this affinity with gorilla is a kind of regressive approach of Yang, and he, throws his life into the arms of the gorilla, and unfortunately, Yang lost his life. So, how Yang's life, his identity, his existence has been neglected and sacrificed. Okay, so you see how, and also in our classes we discuss not only the textual components but also the artistic components, like how this expressionism has been used, in what sense the hearing aid is an expressionist play. Can we consider this drama as a play of existentialism? What is inner consciousness of the characters and the stagecraft and all? Okay, and how O'Neill breaks away from the classical structure of drama and incorporates random, so his drama is well structured, but not well structured into classical sense that there will be act, there will be unity of time. No, he completely breaks away certain rules laid down by the masters of drama from the classical antiquity. Okay, so these are the factors that we discuss in greater detail. And also in our class, after having the detailed discussion of the text, we read the text line by line. We understand it takes time, but we go through complete reading and analysis of every text prescribed in CGPSC in English syllabus. Okay, and after having this detailed discussion, we go to MCQ, important MCQs from the text, from the author, and as well as from the literary biography of the author as well. So that therefore I request all of you to come and enjoy the demo class and decide about your future in CGPSC PP English. Thank you so much.